Nakuru County MCAs who have started collecting signatures with a view to impeaching Finance and Economic Planning CEC Joseph Kuna, whom they accuse of sabotaging development. Evans Asiba, sabotaging development is a very broad term. Maybe we can get their views there. I see that they are next to you.
Yeah, thank you, Wahiga. As I have earlier indicated to you that in our previous link that we'll be coming back to you to give you more details on the same, on the issue of removing the CC in charge of finance, Joseph Kuna, and here with me, as you can see back just around me, there is the number of MCAs, some of them who are here to give more details or to give the light on the same discussion. And we'll start directly to the Nakuru County Minority Leader. We're going to share with us, or maybe he's the one who initiated the motion to impeach the CC. Kindly just elaborate on to us maybe what are the reasons, sir?
Before you is leadership and some of the sections of the members from the MCAs in Nakuru County. We are really disappointed as an assembly that to date some important documents have not been presented to the House. Key among them is the physical strategy paper, which ought to have been delivered and given to the Assembly by 28th of February, upon which we are supposed to have the public participation to culminate into budget-making process. To date, as we speak, we are only left with the 14 days, so to speak, to complete the budget-making process, and nothing is forthcoming. So upon this, we find it that is incompetence from the CEC Finance, and therefore the House at large, through the signatures appended on the paper, I already have around 52 signatures, which required only the threshold of a third of the signatures, which is 26. So we are even over and double of the number required. So we are ready, and we are saying that we want to impeach him because he has failed in his duties. He is incompetent to deliver his services. Maybe
for the common mwananchi, kindly elaborate what is this fiscal planning paper? What the importance of it to your budget?
The importance of this fiscal strategy paper, number one, it ought to have captured some views from departmental heads. For example, the environment, the finance, and all that. It encompasses all the sectors that are supposed to be factored within the budget, upon which the Assembly has to approve, and key of it all, the common mwananchi has to participate into the public participation process, whereby they are supposed to give the views of the project that are supposed to be implemented in their respective areas.
And that you think is a sabotage to you, to your development at what level?
Yes, we think it's a sabotage to us and to general mwananchi at large, because they need to participate. They need to, as an assembly, also we also need to know what it entails. In this case, we don't have. We are only be surprised even today to hear that it has been published within the paper to come up with the public participation without the approval of the House, which is contrary within the law.
With the public participation, when was it and how was it to be brought to the House for you to approve the same?
It ought to come to the Assembly by 28th or before 28th of April, so that this leadership, because these are the people who have been given the mandate by the people within the Constitution, and therefore they have to have the input of the same before it goes to the public participation, and it has to have the blessings of the leadership of the House. And this is the from the section 1, article number 1 of the Constitution, where the powers of the people have been donated to this leadership of the representative of these people.
Okay, maybe just briefly, we also talked to the majority leader of this county assembly. Just majority, tell us why here today, and why do you think maybe someone is behind your fall down?
Thank you very much. As you have heard from the minority and the section and the assembly is disappointed. You know, no one can make a marking scheme without first of all formulating the questions. You start with the questions so that you can have adequate answers. Now what the executive is doing, it is first of all undermining the roles of the assembly. The assembly is the one, after we have taken all what ought to be there in a financial year, then we deliberate on them, such that our people down there now will be able to assimilate whatever we have. The symbiotic relationship between the executive and the assembly is being undermined by a cocoon. There is some people who think that they are either bright, they are schooled, and they do not require the input of the assembly. And I'm telling them that these are the representative of the people. You cannot go to Anjiku without the document, first of all, passing through the assembly. In actual sense, it is like somebody now arguing and saying that you want to go to Nairobi, but you are headed to Kisumu. You know, that's what they are saying. And let me say, because this assembly, and we have complained severally, that our laws are constitutional. Even the standing orders that we do abide by states that clearly. And that's why we are saying that the executive ought to follow the right channels. You do not abdicate the powers of the assembly, and at some time you think that the assembly is there to rubber stamp. That is now the solid state that we are in now. And that's why we are saying that generally everything has stalled.
Just brief and sorry to cut you short. We saw like 2 or 3 weeks back the issue of the idea of Boresha Barabara. Do you think this is the right way of development? Were you consulted as a county assembly, being that you are the people in charge of like a representative of one inch down there?
The idea was angelic. It was like the angels. But now the implementation was satanic. You know, you do not venture into establishing and formulating a policy without the laws and the existence of this assembly. Why are you headed to? You are headed to a ward. A ward is represented by who? MCA. Now it is like invading a house that you have heard that the husband is out, and then you invade the house. Why don't you first of all alert the owner? And then you go and discuss and say that we want this and this to be done this way. I think that's where the failure of the executive is coming in. And I think even the governor ought to know the type and caliber of people that is selected in the office. Because I think that intelligently and psychologically they are not prepared. I think something somewhere is wrong. Therefore, what we need to do, and that's why we are telling them, that can they put the house in order. And also to consult with the assembly, because you cannot have that relationship of hide and seek. That's what is happening currently.
Asad, maybe just as we wind up, let's get one word from Mheshimiwa Mawawa. Maybe what's your say on the same? Are you in the support of the removal of the CEC?
I am in support, not because I do not like him as a person, but it is because what I am up to and what brought me to this assembly are the electorates. And they brought me so that they can get development. But if the county integrated development plan, which shows what will happen in 5 years, is not in place, it is like getting into a classroom where you do not have a scheme of work and you do not know what you are supposed to achieve. That one is a failure on his side. When it comes also to the annual development plan, it is not in place, or we have not discussed it in the assembly. Again, it is a failure on the line of the CEC. And when it comes to the strategy paper that that should have been handed in latest by 28th of February, it is still not here, meaning this CEC does not meet the timelines. And therefore, we had given him the work because we wanted development. That is why we had rubber stamped the whole list of CECs that belong to the governor because we wanted development. But presently, in my ward, which is called Subukia, there are no roads. The Boresha Barabara came, they did the grading without maraming. The roads are worse than they were before. Presently, the toilets of the nursery schools, they constructed ECDs without toilets. Some of the nursery schools, we are closing them down. The toilets have been condemned. The children cannot continue being there. This is another problem. Our markets and the roads all over, it is dirty. I want development. That is why I rubber stamp that, because I want development, 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 nothing else.
Wahiga, as you have heard from the House or the leadership of Nakuru County Assembly, they are all saying with one voice that the CEC in charge of finance, Joseph Kuna, must go home.